Hey, everybody, what's going on? What is happening today in your world? Here, it's been cold. Yeah, we had snow on Sunday. It was crazy, a lot of snow. It's supposed to be spring, but it's just not happening around here. But we have 60-degree weather tomorrow, which is, I mean, it's just so strange. And we're going to have 60-degree weather for 2 days. And then guess what? It's going to drop back down into like the 30s, which is about 20 degrees below normal. Very weird happening here. What's happening in your world? Drop some comments down below and some questions so I know that you're here. Today, what's on the agenda is we are going to pick a winner so that you can spend some time with me in a Pinterest consultation. And I think this will be really fun. And I want to do some of these more often because, to be honest with you, the reason why I went ahead and started this whole thing, this whole Pinterest thing, instead of just like hoarding all the information for myself and keeping everything that I've learned and researched and tested and did for myself, was because I wanted to share it honestly and see if I can help more people beyond myself, beyond the problems and things that we face in our own businesses and trying to grow. And so for me to be able to give an opportunity, provide an opportunity where we can have a winner picked and I can personally help you by spending an hour with you. We can take a peek into your Pinterest profile, see what's going on. I can show you some tips and tricks, help you with everything that's happening there and give you some good guidance and direction. Any questions that you have, I can answer them personally and help you get moving in a better direction. Today is the day. So go ahead and leave some comments down below, but also, make sure that you enter in to the contest. I just looked and I saw that there was only 23 people that entered, and I thought, oh, well, cool. That's good for everybody who entered because it narrows down all of the chances and possibilities here where you might be a winner. So today is your day if you did enter in, because there's only 23 people so far. Hello, Teresa. Oh, rain today, Linda. Oh my goodness. Well, I envy you with rain though, because we've had snow. It's been so cold. Ooh, and Jill is here in California, and Nancy is here. Hi, Nancy in Indiana. Oh, you had some light snow yesterday. Yes, this is crazy. The daffodils are about to bloom. Wow. Things, I don't know. It's very strange this year. I don't know what's going to happen to people's plants because it won't be long and the tulips are going to want to pop up. We have a lot of things in this area of tulip festivals and stuff. There's a lot of people who have immigrated from Holland in certain sections of Iowa, as well as Germany. It's mostly Germans who immigrated to the state. But we do have a pretty good immigration from Holland and the Netherlands with different towns that have been founded with the Dutch. And so they celebrate tulip festivals. It's huge with thousands and thousands of tulips that go in bloom. And, all of these things are happening with different festivals going on that are going to be happening outdoors. And if stuff isn't blooming correctly this year, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a late planting season. I live in Iowa, so it's a farming state. And it's going to be a really late for the farmers trying to get their stuff into the fields and get out into the fields and get stuff planted. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But I think everyone is anxious for this weather to warm up. And I can imagine the gardeners are anxious to get outdoors, get their stuff planted and get going. But yet it's so early. We're having these like weather mood swings going on where it's 60 degrees one day and then a foot of snow the next, that it's too risky for anyone to get their planting going outdoors and get everything happening here. Oh yeah. So Teresa says that there's a azaleas and dogwood festival there. Yeah, there's tons of them that are going to be happening there. Hey, Court, nice to see you here. You are in Canada. Awesome. I have actually several coaching students in Canada, which is pretty cool. And that I talk to on a regular basis. A lot of fun. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. What I wanted to do first was Can I check to see if you've entered into the contest? Not in the moment. Go ahead and take a peek in the Facebook group page there, if you want to see if you got your name down. If not, you can run in there right now and be able to do that. It's all located right there in the Pin Traffic Power Facebook group. Hello, Eric. Nice to see you here. Glad to have you. Let's do this. I want to share my screen, and I wanted to pick up on the topic that we were talking about last week a little bit about how Pinterest really functions and how it acts. Let me check and make sure that the screen share is working properly. Yes, it looks like it is. If not, let me know in the comments so that I can fix it immediately, because I've had issues in the past where I thought it was a screen share going on, and thank you for letting me know that it wasn't happening so that I could fix this. So this is an article. I did drop this into the Facebook group as well. If you've had a chance to read it, great. Very recent, April 1st, 2018, with this article. And it's telling once again about really what Pinterest is and the vision for it, of where Pinterest wants to move into, what their vision is in the future, which I think is kind of important. And how they started this article was really interesting. They said that some people might have you believe Pinterest isn't doing so well. I get the feeling that a lot of people don't know what Pinterest is, or they don't know how to use it, or how in the world does this have anything to do with anything else, because it's so different, very different from the social media sites. And I think the problem is we've been trying to put it in the box. We're trying to box it in and treat it as though it's a social media site. And that's one issue why it's hard to understand really what Pinterest is and how to use it, is we're trying to label it with something that it's not. So this is a quote here by Ben Silverman. He says, get your ideas for your real life. Okay, so people go to Pinterest. It's a visual search engine. It's a search and discovery platform. They go there to get ideas. They go there for positive stuff, for an escape from the world, for entertainment, for new ideas, new concepts, new products, new brands. If you are building a brand, you definitely need to get on Pinterest as soon as possible, because that's where people start when they are looking for new things, new ideas, and new discoveries. They love going to Pinterest. Why? Because it's so visual. It is visual, and that visual really attracts people. Sure, they could go to Google and get some ideas there, but it's not as much fun as if you were to have the visual ideas all in one spot that are coming through on Pinterest. And then they can share those visual ideas with other people by simply pinning it into their board. They can actually share a pin with someone by email. They can share it on other social media sites. So it gives them a little bit more functionality than if they were to just do Google by itself. But it has a lot of similarities to Google. We talked about that last week, and that's not just by chance, but there's a real history there. With Ben Silverman's background, just as a recap, he used to work for Google. So it makes sense why Pinterest is more functioning like Google than it is like social media. And that is a concept that he wanted. However, it did not start out that way. And this article helps you understand that too, because I know a lot of people have said, well, I did what I thought was going to be useful on Pinterest, and I went out and I followed a bunch of people, hoping that 10% of them would follow me. And you found out that it didn't work so well, that those 10% really didn't follow you back. Okay. I hear that often. And here's the case. In 2010, when Pinterest was debuted, it was debuted as more of a social media site. So in everyone's defense, with articles that I've seen written out there, especially in the e-commerce world, of here's what you need to do, and what they're showing people is actually not a way that you want to treat it today. Back between the time of 2010 and 2014, it did function more like a social media site, but it still was not gaining the traction of a true social media site where people are commenting and they're interacting with each other. And what they found is that they really want it to be a place where there's not that much of it. So it's escape from drama, so to speak. Okay. And they were there really to search for ideas and to save ideas. And those ideas that they're saving are your pins. So back in 2010, it was like a social media, it functioned that way, where if you followed people, they would follow you back. And it says right here, to confirm it, in the early days, Pinterest followed the pattern set by popular social networks. So that's how they started. You followed other people, and then their pins would show up in your feed, and you could like those pins, or you could save them into your boards. Okay. So because of that, by just simply following people and they would follow you back, they would see your pins, and then therefore they might save your pins or take action on it. That's how it first began. But everything did change. Everything did change. And here it said that what happened was, in the early days of Pinterest, the people who jumped on to the Pinterest bandwagon first of using it and were able to use it successfully were mostly female lifestyle bloggers. And that's true. The blogging world knows about Pinterest, by the way. They know about it and they know how well it works for them. But people in e-commerce, for some reason, haven't received the full message yet. And so I felt like it was, kind of my duty to help you with that in the e-commerce world, and to help you use something that's right in front of you that you can use for free to build a brand and to gain traction. In fact, we'll see later in the article that Ben Silbermann's his vision for Pinterest is really for businesses and retailers so that they can be discovered. That's his vision for Pinterest. That's what he really wants it to be. He doesn't really want it to be a social media site where one person follows another and they, might talk to each other and they share things in that way. He wants it to be shared in a very, very different way. So here's what happened is they got this reputation for being a place that is mostly for females. And even yet today, Pinterest has that stigma still of being for girls. Now imagine this, Pinterest was developed in the Silicon Valley. The concept came about with one of the main founders, Ben Silbermann, while he was working at Google. He left Google to go start this, okay? The Silicon Valley is very male dominated, because you can just imagine that here he is with this fabulous concept, and it's just overtaken with the idea of only females. And I imagine that's not what he planned at all. That wasn't his vision at all, was being a place for just girls to go hang out and find stuff and share stuff, that it's only girls that are hanging out there and sharing stuff. But they were the only ones who were willing to be the early adopters of Pinterest and start using it. So it ended up being mostly female. So that's why there's a lot of people who say, well, you need to turn your profile to a girl. I disagree with that. You need to make sure that you are representing yourself as a business instead, because things have been moving in a new direction since 2014. And you don't want to go down the road of a fake profile. You don't want to do that, because you're going to lose your branding opportunity. And things changed drastically in 2014 when the Smart Feed was introduced into Pinterest. So because of the Smart Feed, a lot of following people in hopes that they follow you back, some of the early things that worked in the beginning stages of Pinterest no longer work anymore. And they haven't been working real great for a while. So I really don't want you to waste your time on some of those things that are not going to give you a lot of results. And don't waste your money on paying for products that promises that it's going to help you get more followers on Pinterest, and therefore you're going to sell more of your stuff. That's actually a misleading. That's a misnomer. And the reason why they are selling their product to you is because they know that most people are misinformed about this. They don't realize that there's been some massive changes on Pinterest in the last few years here. So because of this, there used to be on Pinterest these repin counts, and we used to see those actually stopped last fall. There's things you can do to get around that to find out what are, how many repins pins have had, but Pinterest, what they're wanting you to do is discover pins and use the pins, not just because of how many people have already repinned them, but out of your own interest, out of truly your own interest, and not being influenced by other users on Pinterest. So that's what they're doing for the average Pinterest user who is not necessarily a business and not using it for business purposes. They're using it for their own ideas, okay? So then what happens is there was an algorithm of the smart feed that was introduced, which now means it's more functioning like Google. And the way that you can find things and have your pins discovered is through the use of keywords. And Pinterest does show you all of that. And I'll show you in a little bit of some things to help you, because I know in the Pin Traffic Power Group with the poll that was set up there, one of the number one things that you said was a problem area was keywords and keyword optimization, trying to get an understanding of this. So I want to be able to give you some tips and hints as we go along here and help you out with this when you are doing this yourself. You're trying to do kind of like a DIY of your Pinterest business page, okay? Now it says here, you can still follow users whose pins you're a fan of, though. But you know what? It's not really necessarily mean that you're, okay, so for example, because of the smart feed that changes, if I go and follow someone and they follow me back on Pinterest, does that automatically mean that they see my pins because they are following me? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's something that's sort of been a little bit of a misnomer and misinformation. Pinterest used to be that way, where if someone follow you, they would see your pins. That's not the case. That hasn't been the case since 2014. How they find the pins on Pinterest is by typing in keywords into the Pinterest search bar. That's how they find pins, and they find things that they're interested in. And what pops up is not people who they're following, but it's popping up the pins and boards that use those keywords of what they're looking for. That's how it's working with the smart feed. Okay. So there are some similarities still to the other social media sites. They're bringing back a little bit of it, but they really don't ever want it to be a social media site. And there was an interview with Silverman that they're posting here back in 2015 that they said that it's very different from a social network. We saw and read some other articles that says his vision is he doesn't ever want it to be a social network or a social media site. And I love this description of Pinterest. If for those who are not sure still, you know, what the concept of Pinterest is and what it is and how it works is it's a catalog that's handpicked for users. I love that. So it's a catalog of ideas that are handpicked for those who are using Pinterest. So when they start searching, Pinterest pulls up the suggested pins, boards, and even people that are of your interest area, and it's handpicked for you. Now, how does Pinterest handpick it for their users? Keywords. That's how it's handpicked. Okay, so that's why if you don't master anything else, really it's got to be your keywords. It doesn't matter how many people you follow. It doesn't matter how many pins you blast out on Pinterest. None of it's going to get found unless you've got keywords on your pins so that people can find it. And Pinterest uses in the algorithm the keywords on a pin to tell Pinterest what that pin is about. And that's included in your pin description. And it says what that pin is about so that Pinterest can make a good idea as to the right type of person to share that with. All right, so the good news here is that you can gain a lot of very highly targeted people as a result. And it's going to depend on your keywords that you use. They need to be highly relevant, and I cannot stress that enough. Very, very relevant so that you get your pins shown to the right type of people. If you don't, it'll actually hurt you. And you're not going to see people that are going to your site, seeing what you have to offer, and they're not going to be your buyers because you're leading in the wrong type of people. So the types of stuff that you pin and repin and the keywords that are used are highly, highly important. Okay. So let's scroll down here a little bit further. Now, here's something new that I wanted to share with you today because this just happened just this month. Actually, it might have happened towards the end of last month, but I didn't notice it in some Pinterest accounts until just recently. Within the last 2 to 3 weeks, I just saw it pop up. In fact, I think I saw it maybe just 2 weeks ago. And it's called a following tab. And this is an update that they've made in the system, which means now they've gone back to their roots a little bit of the way that they did things originally before the smart feed in 2014. And with the following tab, if you click on that following tab, now you can see the pins of people that you are following. So now we have a new way, which is not really new. It's kind of bringing back some of the old ways that Pinterest worked, but you don't want to rely on that alone, because I'm not sure that many people will actually use that as much as what they do just typing keywords into the search bar and searching for what they're looking for. My thought and my guess is that probably a Pinterest user is going to start on Pinterest by typing in some words of what they're looking for first. That's going to be their starting point. And once in a while, they may look at the following tab, but I don't think they're going to use it, as often because they're looking maybe for something specific. So I wanted to share that with you. We'll talk about that fake tab, the fake tab, the following tab in just a second. I have fake on my mind because I'm reading down here that I wanted to share. There are still some problems on Pinterest, and I want you to be aware of this. Fake accounts, scams, and undesirable content that still needs monitoring and moderating, okay? But they do have a lot less trolling stuff going on. They're putting things into place to control things more and more. So they're going to start cracking down more on some things. And think about what they mean by fake account. What does that mean to you? Okay, so here's why I say be careful with putting up a profile of a person that is not you, like a pseudo person, because technically that's really like a fake account. And if Pinterest starts cracking down, you might be gone. And I don't want you to do a whole bunch of work on Pinterest and suddenly it's gone. Okay, really, you want to think bigger, and you want to think branding, and you want to realize the true way that Pinterest works since 2014, which is through the smart feed, the algorithm of keywords. Put your brand on there, get some branding going. Pinterest is a search and discovery site where they love finding new brands every single day. These are the type of people who are willing to pay a little bit more money for unique and unusual things that they can't find anywhere else. So this is why if you feel as though you are a new brand, you are a new business, no one knows who you are, no one knows your brand, this is where you want to start first. This is the place to be, because they will get familiar with you a lot faster and a lot easier. The average Pinterest user's mind is more open. They're more open to new things and new discoveries. In fact, that's why they're there. They're not just open to it, but they embrace it and they love it. So don't be afraid to use your business name, or if you have a store, your store name. You might have multiple stores. And if you do, use a different business account for each of your stores. So you have a different store name for each, and your stores might be a different niche area, which is good because then you can target a lot easier through keywords and keep things organized. All right, I want to see if there's some questions to answer here first before we move over, and I'll show you what this little follower tab looks like. Okay, there are some questions. Awesome, great. Here's a good one. Question here. Should your profile picture be a picture of yourself or a company logo if you switch from a personal account to a business account? That's a good question, because it depends on how big of a company you are, how big of a brand you are. I just use a profile of myself because I feel as though it's more personalized. I do have a blog that I write on where there's a picture of me. And I want the people who are the followers over on that blog to recognize me so that they can make a clear connection. But when you get to the point where you've got a lot of team members, you got a lot of people in your business is more than just you, you could consider then using your logo instead. So there's a reason why Target uses a Target logo is because Target doesn't represent like one person, and they're not trying to brand they're not really trying to brand a person, but there's many, many, many people who represent Target that are workers there as a team effort. Probably for most people, you could start out with a profile picture of yourself. If you are a male and you're afraid that no one will then follow you because it's a male picture, number one, that's not true. There are more men on Pinterest than ever before. And I think that Pinterest wants to see more of that, to be honest with you. So you might, at the end of the day, you might be able to leverage that. If you feel as though you're not going to get enough traction, if you show a picture of yourself and you're male, then what you could do is you could have a picture of yourself with your children, a picture of yourself with your significant other. Okay, maybe a wife or a girlfriend or something, if you feel like that would help you in some way, where you're showing yourself in a different way that is maybe approachable to the female side, where they're seeing family, where they're seeing family, not necessarily like here's a man. But you know what? I think that Pinterest has been working so hard to get rid of these stigmas that I still would not be afraid to put up a picture of yourself if you're a man on Pinterest. I see it all the time on Pinterest, tons and tons and tons of it. And I have no problems following the men on Pinterest when they have really awesome content that I want to share myself and be able to put into my boards. I have no problem with that. There is nothing that stops me from deciding who I want to follow. And when it comes to gender or things such as race, or that doesn't really matter at all. And I kind of think that I don't think anymore it matters to the average Pinterest user either. It just happens to be that in the early days of Pinterest, it was just mostly females that were bloggers that were putting their content on Pinterest. And so there was a lot of females using it very well, but things have clearly changed since then. And no one is really getting more traction by the number of followers that you have. Where you're getting your traction from instead is through the smart feed with your keywords. So if you are a small business, and I would encourage you, if you have a store or a website, have a picture of yourself to share with people. The buyers are going to develop a trust with you when they see who you are. And then you can take that picture of yourself and put it on your Pinterest profile so that they understand and know that, oh yeah, that is that person. I really love their stuff. And it helps them to recognize it easier. If you are getting bigger than that, then you can use your logo instead. And so here's an example of some followers here. So I have this tab opened up. When you click on this is the follower tab. This is a new feature. And what happens is it shows me the pins of all of the people that I am following. And you can see that I'm trying to just follow people who in general have great, awesome looking pins. That's what I'm looking for, because they are very engaging. And I only want to save the pins into my boards that are high engagement because that's going to draw people into the board and see what else I have to offer. They might start following the entire board. They will save other pins within that board, and you can leverage that. You can look at the different profiles up top. Some are people, pictures of people, and some are logos. Okay, so here is one. I'm going to click on Catch My Party. Okay, we'll have to click here to go to their site, Catch My Party. Now, they do have a business where they, e-commerce, they sell physical products, and they sell a lot of party supplies that they're buying wholesale. And they've developed into a pretty big business to the point where there's lots and lots and lots of people. So instead of using the profile picture, they've gotten to the point where now they've changed it to a logo instead. And that's just a personal decision that they made. They now have close to 800,000 followers, and notice the ratio here. This is the kind of ratio that you want to have, where you're not really following nearly as many people of who is following you. That's telling Pinterest that you are not trying to scam the system. You are not being spammy. You're not trying to use Pinterest for yourself only in the way of who can follow me and see my stuff, but you are truly here to engage and interact. So you don't want to follow just anybody and everybody. You only want to follow people who have good stuff that you can actually share on your boards, help you to find it easier. And that's going to help rank your boards up higher because of the engagement on those pins, and help the rest of your pins rank up higher as well, because you are associating highly engaging pins from other people with your stuff. And you can see they have tons of boards going on here. Okay, awesome cake pops. Let's take a look at this. And they have their board description going on. Most of their pins are really well done, long pins, great colors. A lot of stuff happening here. This one is a repin that they've done from someone else from goodhousekeeping.com. They put that into their board. It was a smart decision because it will be highly engaging. These pins that are small and square like this are not as good. It's going to be passed by more often because it's too small. It's hard for it to get noticed. But then I see other stuff that will jump out that's more engaging, especially ones like this one right here, where it's got the text overlay on top telling us what we're looking at. If I just had these pictures, I would not know what that is. But it's saying that they are cake balls, and they are a specific kind, BB-8, and a close-up shot. So they have multiple pictures. That's an example of a pin that's very well done. And I would want to share that pin, or save it, into my boards. Here's another really great example of a high engaging, very well done pin, Beauty and the Beast Oreo Pops. They have their website URL right here. They have more than one picture that is happening, okay? So let's now move to keywords a little bit. And let's think about how you could start building your boards with keywords. Maybe I'll take a second to see if there's some questions first to answer. Any more of them before we move to keywords? Nope, I think we're good to go. So let's go to keywords here real fast, and then we'll move to picking a winner here pretty soon. So many of you are in the print on demand side of business. You've got that as one side of your business. You may be selling on Amazon. You may be selling on Etsy or eBay, different areas. Think of the type of products that you're selling and that you have a lot of that you can replenish very easily, especially if you do wholesale or if you're doing print on demand. So one area could be just a plain t-shirt. Maybe you just sell t-shirts, either wholesale or print on demand inside of your stores. And you can now take a look at some other keywords that are popping up here. There's also the autofill, and you want to take a look at these to see if any of those would be relevant for your niche area for what you're looking for. If you do sell a lot of t-shirts, you definitely want to have a t-shirt board, especially if you've got so many pins that you could create that you could just constantly be filling that board on a regular basis with that. They don't all need to be your t-shirt pins. In fact, I would encourage you to not just do only your stuff in boards. You need to have other people's stuff in there too. And their pins are going to be very highly engaging pins that you want to include in. That's going to draw people into your board. See what you have to offer. So when you hit return, you get these right up here. The number one thing after t-shirt is with sayings. And when I put that together, I might think to myself, well, you know what? I've got a lot of t-shirts with sayings, and I didn't know that this was a thing on Pinterest. So I may want to build a board called t-shirt with sayings and see if I can get that board to rank up really high. Now, the keywords that are here on the left are the most popular on Pinterest. The further right you go, the less popular they are on Pinterest. Okay, now I want to take a look and say, well, you know, I might want to do a t-shirt with sayings board. I have the all pins on. Let's see what the ranking is if I change that out to boards. Okay, now we've got some people who are doing this that have niched it down even further. Perfect example is the very first board that is number one. Your goal is, with excellent keywords being used in your board title, your board description, and on each of your pins, to be number one. So when I type in t-shirt with sayings and I go to boards, yours is the first board that pops up. People can then just follow. They might also want to take a look and see what else is inside of this board. I like to look at this further. Notice that they niched it down to just nurses. Great idea. But it's still ranking number one for the keyword phrase t-shirts with sayings. If we were to look up the keyword phrase nurses t-shirts with sayings, they're probably number one for that as well. Or t-shirts with sayings nurses. I imagine they're ranking number one for both. So they're double dipping, which is a great concept. They would do even better if they had a board description. They have 419 followers on this board. The higher you rank up your board, the more followers you get on that board. It becomes more and more popular. People love what's in that board. And you get more saves of lots of pins from your board. So when your board becomes higher in the search engine ranking, you'll start to get these notifications that people go into your board and they'll save 20 pins at once into their boards. Love it when that happens. What led them to your board? Well, it could be several different ways. They did a search and they either searched and found one of your pins, or they found your entire board that is filled with pins. That's even better yet, is when they can find your entire board. So I like to rank boards up number one. That's what I do for myself with different Pinterest accounts, but I do it actually a lot for clients when I am optimizing their Pinterest profile, when I'm creating it from scratch for them. What I'm doing is I'm selecting keywords off of Pinterest so that I can see if I can rank them up high and get them up as high as possible. The more competitive that keyword phrase is, the more time it's going to take for that board to rank up high and get it in a position of number one. But it's very possible. And the more niche down you get, the easier it is to be able to do. So the keywords is one way that you can get an entire board to rank up high. The second way is the number of pins that are included in your board that are relevant pins. So they have 736 pins. If I would like to rank up number one for the phrase t-shirts with sayings, then I need to make sure that I only have t-shirts in my board with sayings in it. Does it have to be nurses? It could be a variety of different things, and you can use the add a section feature that is now being offered inside of Pinterest, where each section is a different topic or a different specific niche area. So he could have instead, and by the way, I keep saying he because this is a profile picture of a guy. It's a profile picture of a guy. He's got 419 followers on this board, and he's ranked number 1. So I would say that there is no problem with using a guy picture profile. I don't think there's an issue with that. Because I don't think that's not what they're focusing on. What they're focusing on is whose boards are ranking up top and whose pins are ranking up top in the search engine. That's what they're focusing on. Okay. Anyways, all of these are about nurses. So this is my strategy of what I do. I take a more general board like T-shirts with sayings, and I would want to get that ranked up high first. Within that, have several niches. If you have a bunch of shirts about nurses, do that as one section of your board. With the sections feature, it makes it a lot easier to keep things organized. If you've got one about dogs, have a section about dogs. If you got one about cooking, have a section about that. When you feel like you've got those sections very well filled up and are continuous, you're continually adding more and more pins in there on a regular basis on those topics, then you create a new board that is niched down further. And you pin out everything from that section of your board into your new board. That's when you would say, you know what? Let's do the nurses niche down board for T-shirts with sayings. So you're able to grab both. Now you're going to be in a position of number 1 still for T-shirts with sayings. You might be able to get in a position of number 2 with your board that is all about nurses with T-shirts with sayings. Do you see my strategy? If you keep going, let's come back to that board search that we were on. If you keep going with this concept, you have the potential to have your boards fill up the entire top row where people can't help but notice you. Do you see my strategy going on here? And you might get to the point where you're filling up the row number 2 as well. Are people going to bother scrolling down like this? Not too many. After a while, they're like, okay, done with that. Search for something else. They're definitely not going to scroll down to position number 120 to go find your board. Especially if they're looking for T-shirts with sayings and they want to find some cool stuff, some new and unusual stuff. So I would definitely take the approach in this case with the keywords T-shirts with sayings. And then I might want to niche it down using the sections feature within that board. And then I would want to niche down by even further by creating boards from those sections. And now I have further niche down boards going from there. If you want to niche it down immediately, you certainly could. And it could just be T-shirts with sayings for women. And that would be a further niche down board that you could create. Let's see how many people are actually searching for that, though. It might be too long of a phrase for a board. Nope, there's lots of people, lots of boards being created, tons of them. So that type of board is easier to rank up for in a shorter amount of time. As if you were to go direct with a T-shirts with sayings and then niche it down even further. What I call that is going down to a level 3 keyword level. So I do like a level 1 is your seed keyword. A level 2 is the keywords that pop up. A level 3 is when you add those together and you go down even further. And so I do my seed keyword. And then for my boards, I do sometimes a level 2 keyword. And then you could do a level 3 keyword instead for your board titles. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but I'm going to put together some materials and have it available that is all about keyword mastery so that you can truly master the art of creating your boards and being able to niche down boards. And being able to rank high with your boards. So here is all of these T-shirts with sayings for women's. Notice that some of them are ranking up high that don't even use that as a keyword title. What's happening is it's somewhere else. That keyword phrase must be in a lot of the pin descriptions. It could be, it's not, I don't see it here either. Oh, this board is all using affiliate links from Amazon. Interesting. Well, they can't do it directly in here like they are. It truly has to go over somewhere else. And notice that they don't have very many pins in here, only 20. So that tells me that if I were to create a board called T-shirts with sayings for women, and someone who is ranked number 3 position only has 20 pins, I have 20 pins with T-shirts with sayings for women and more. I could take that keyword phrase, turn it into a board title, and I could rank it number 1 within a week. And that would be no problem. So let's look at this one. Look at the competition is only 20 pins. Easy peasy. The pins are not even that great. They're just pinning stuff off of Amazon is all they're doing. And it's not really going to be as effective. People are probably not going to notice it as well as if you make your own pins. Okay. So let's do an experiment and see what could happen here. And we can check back in a week. This will be a really fun experiment and see what happens here. T-shirts with sayings for women. Do we want that keyword phrase for a board? Let's do this. T-shirts with sayings. Let's back it up. T-shirts with sayings. We could do it for teens. We could do funny. Well, let's do this. Let's do the T-shirts with sayings for women, just because we're on that topic today. And I'm going to go create a board called T-shirts with sayings for women. And I can work on the board a little bit later, but I want to show you how I would take that. And I can really quick and easy look for these boards, things that could be easy to rank for. T-shirts with sayings for women, create it. What I do is I take this keyword right here. I'm going to take this, pop it here, get it on here as well. And I want to do more keywords. And and this is going to be the type of board. This is also very important that you do use the category. Don't ignore this. This is telling the Pinterest the relevancy of your board and the relevancy of the pins within it. So whenever you need to help the search engine, I'm just going to choose products. And I'm going to fill in the rest of this later with more keywords that I find on Pinterest. I like to have another tab open where I could do my a lot of my keyword research there with Pinterest open on another tab, and I can fill this information in. But for now, that's going to be the seed of this. And we're going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is pop in. We know that we need a minimum of 20 pins to beat out that board. So I can start doing that and do that a little bit later. What I could also do if I want to niche this down further, which I am niched down further, so I may have to do that differently. And this would be saying that it is like I may want to add one more keyword on here. Like this, because I'm in that type of niche area. And the type of stuff that I'm going to be sharing in here might be a lot of that. However, no, I don't want to do that. That's boxing me in a corner because I want to share a lot of your pins. I want to share a lot of your t-shirts too. And those aren't going to be music. So I can do it differently. And I want to add a section. And I could do it like this. Add a section and say, these are going to be the music t-shirts. And then if I want to pin some of your stuff, maybe you have baking and I can take your stuff, especially if you have made some amazing pins, and I can have a baking section and put it right in here. Okay. And I would be sharing your stuff as well, the highly engaging pins that you were making. And then I could put my stuff in these different sections and make it easier for people. So what I want to do then is see if I can get this to rank up high. I could probably do it within a week, no problem. And what I would want to do then, let's do a quick refresh. Sometimes you got to refresh this often to help the search engine pick things up that you just did. Sometimes it takes 24 to 36 hours too for your different keywords to fully pop up an index. Let's do an experiment to see. I doubt it because I don't have any pins in there yet, and those pins do make a difference. But I'm just curious. Yeah, no, we got to have some pins going. And we need to give it more time. We need to give it like at least a week. So we're going to do that as an experiment. Next week, I want you to see what happens when I do this. And you could be checking periodically to see if I pop up as number 1 for the board. My goal is to be right here in this position. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's some questions here about that. I hope that this is helping you a little bit. Yeah. Here's a good one. I have followed a lot of people as a personal account. So should I go through that and remove some of them to have a better ratio with the number of people that follow me? Yes. Yes. In fact, when I am optimizing other people's business profiles, I actually go through the people that they're following, and I start unfollowing a bunch of them because they have nothing to do with their niche area and they're producing some. So I don't want to see it show up in any way. So I start unfollowing and I get that ratio in a better position. And I actually learned that technique of the ratio. It's unsaid by Pinterest, but I learned that technique of a ratio I've studied with various people who are kind of Pinterest experts. And I did like a coaching call. I did some coaching with one person in particular, and they told me that. They said, experiment with changing the ratio there, because it does tell the search engine some things about the relevancy going on of your presence, of why you're there. And make sure you only follow people with high engaging content that is active users, stuff that you would actually want to include in your own boards. And it's easier for you to find it, and you can engage with those people, interact. And I thought, yeah, what a great concept. Don't just follow people for the sake of following, but following those that are pin influencers, basically, is what you're trying to do there. Okay, another one. If you have an older account that you made following all the old bad advice and it's not working, would you recommend creating a new profile from scratch? Absolutely not. You just go in and you optimize it. You just optimize it. No problem. You don't know how many times I've had to redo my own stuff because, I spent a good 2 years learning a lot of this stuff in really fine detail. And I was, going out and searching the people who knew what they were talking about and learning from them personally and making my own mistakes. So I had to go redo stuff like several times. Don't be afraid of that. I wouldn't start over from scratch. I wouldn't. I would keep what you have and just redo some of it, because there's going to be a lot of stuff there that you can still use just fine, and just redo some of it. It doesn't take that long for you to redo your boards. It really doesn't. I do that on a regular basis as a service that I offer people. If you feel the need that you need help with it, I can certainly do that for you as a service. I'm working on one that I'm finishing up right now, and I am optimizing it. So I had to go in and redo all of the boards, and I don't delete any boards. I just move them into your secret boards, because you might still want that information. So I move them into your secret boards if it's something that's not relevant at all to your business. And then I create some new boards that are relevant and make sure that there's a good, highly optimized keyword board description. Get some pins in there with some kind of keywords on the pin that's going to help your boards rank up high. And that's what I do is I go in and I optimize people's profiles, their stuff for them. Or I start it from scratch if they don't have a presence quite yet. But you can do that yourself without a problem. It really doesn't take long. It takes a little bit of outside the box thinking sometimes, which I actually enjoy doing. So that's why I kind of like doing that kind of stuff. It's really fun. So don't worry about that. And if you need help, certainly I could be a resource to you. Okay, since Tailwind doesn't currently support sections, do you periodically manually move pins to the right sections? Yes, I do. In fact, it depends on what board it is, but I do manually go in and move them to sections. I have a system that I use where everything goes to my store board first and then start moving it over to other boards at that point, start repinning out to other boards. And you can periodically go into those boards and put stuff into those sections as you have time to do that. It's not, probably the most important thing on your agenda, but periodically you could do that because it's helping people find your stuff a lot easier when they do enter into your board. If, for example, with the t-shirts with sayings for women, that could be every single niche area. So if someone is interested in baking, it's easier for them once they enter into your board. That's like, think of your board as a store. They were window shopping, they found your board. Now they want to go inside of your store, which is your board. And when they enter in, they need to find things easier. So if you have things organized into sections and they want the baking t-shirts, they'll go right straight to the baking section. And it helps them get in, find what they're looking for, save the stuff that they're looking for. I love the concept of the sections because I think we're going to see higher engagement now happening on our boards, which means they're going to rank up higher. So that is really, really cool. I love this board experiment. Yeah, I thought that would be kind of a cool idea is if we do a little bit experiment, because I want to show you what I do here. And what my strategy is and why keywords are so important. Question, what if you are bad at keyword writing? What would you suggest? You don't need to be like a good copywriter. You just need keywords. And you don't have to write it in any specific way. A lot of people just put the keywords in. I still do like to write 1 or 2 sentences first, and then the rest of it, I put keywords after that. Any additional keywords that I can't fit into a natural writing sentence, then I just fill up the rest of the space with keywords and hashtags after that. But at least write 1 sentence because it's more personal, it's more human being like, more relational, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be a sentence like a statement. It could be a question. And I found that increases the engagement sometimes as if I actually write a question. Like, what do you think about this cute dog t-shirt? And you know what? Sometimes I start getting a bunch of comments on that pin that says, oh, this is the cutest t-shirt. I love it. And that is your engagement. That's one form of or type of engagement that will help your pin rank higher in the algorithm and your entire board. So that's something that you could do. You don't have to make a sentence that is perfect. You could ask a question. You could make a statement. You could say, I love this. You could just say what it is, but make sure you got keywords in there. I just looked at Pinterest following, the little follower tab, and noticed that there is an option to follow topics. Oh, interesting. Let's look at the topics. Yes, there has always been an ability to follow topics. I'm not seeing the topics though. in mine, but this one, they're all going to look differently. Click to find new people to follow. So this is going to help go back to that original function of following people. And when I click that, oh, it looks like they're giving me some suggestions according to maybe the people that I'm already following. Interesting that they're giving me some recommended people to follow. So that's kind of cool. Interesting. That changes the game a little bit. I'm not seeing the topics, but definitely people do follow topics. So for example, this is the little explore section. If I wanted to go into humor, these are the latest things that have been happening. Easter humor, April Fool's stuff. And I might want to go into Easter pranks. It's not really a topic to follow, is it? Sometimes they have topics that you can follow here. They used to show more of that, but not so much in this section anymore. If I go, yeah, that's it. They're doing away with, they used to have more topics that you could follow. And it's not so much, but these are a lot of different topics that there are. So if I want to go into home, it's showing me what the latest trend is. What are the latest popular things that have to do anything about the home? And you can do humor. This is everything that's going on here. And then, of course, just simply trending. And they're hand picking some things for me that's trending that you could use. If it's a really good stuff, you could put that into your own boards. And it's based on things that you have already saved into your boards. So it's that's what Pinterest means by hand picking for you. And it's according to keywords you've typed into the search engine, things you've already saved. They know what your interest area is. So what shows up for me will be different for another person because it is literally handpicked for you. Yeah, I'm not seeing exactly what you're seeing, but this is topics. Click on following on your profile. This is the follower tab right here. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. In your profile, when you go to following, that's been that way for quite some time. You can follow topics or unfollow topics. When you first set up your Pinterest account, it's going to ask you to follow a minimum of 3 topics. And I would follow the topic of humor and quotes for sure for everybody, because those are 2 things that tend to go viral very quickly. And everybody can create boards that are about humor and quotes in every single niche area. And you can leverage that very, very easily. So I know what you're talking about, yeah, with the topics. So yeah, people might want to go into the topic area and see what is being offered there as well. Okay, more questions. Could sections be by type of item? Sure, absolutely. Like a shirt, a tote bag, and a coffee. Yeah, you can use the sections however way you want. It's just a way of organizing. So you can think outside the box a little bit of how you want to organize and do that. So for example, I could title my board music, products, whatever, keyword optimize it. And then what I could do is go into the sections and say, okay, I've got multiple products within this niche. So one section would be, and you want to do this, actually, everyone should do this because you need to have at least one store board or one product board where it's just nothing but your products. That's the first board that people see. And within your product board, then you separate that out into categories. That's what I do. And I say, okay, here's all my t-shirts. That's one section. Here's all my coffee mugs. That's one section. Here's all of my bags. That's one section. Here's all of my purses. That's one section. Okay. And then you can always build, once you fill up those sections, that is giving you some seed to think about your other boards that you might want to create based on that. So that's how I think outside the box just a little bit on that, with how to do that. Okay, any other questions? If not, let's get over here and see what we can do about this drawing, because I don't want to take up any more of your time today. We've all got a lot of busy stuff that we need to get doing. So hopefully you've had a chance to get filled in right here. And no, it's not right there. It's down here. And let's open up all of these comments. We've got 23 more comments. Hopefully there's a bunch here. The last I counted was like 23. So I made this go up to 25 for the generator of a random number. So let's do it. Let's hit it. A minimum of 1 to 25. Here we go. It is number 24. I don't know if there is a number 24. Let's go find out. If you are in there twice, that doesn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, there's only 23. Because sorry, Nancy, but you're in there twice. You're in there earlier too. So let's do it again. Let's hit her again. Let's make this now just go to, I knew that was going to happen. I did that just in case there was more people that went in and signed up. So let's hit it again. It's got to be definitely less than 24. Let's make it so it's the max is not going to be any more of that. We'll change the max. Here we go. It is number 9. Who is number 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 is Jody Mayfield. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, Jody. Nice. Jody is the winner. So I will send you a private message, and we will get that scheduled for you. A little bit of a private consultation call that can happen with your Pinterest stuff. So if you feel like your stuff is a hot mess, I can help you get a strategy in place and help you get it all organized and functional in a way where you're moving in the right direction and things are beginning to flow easier for you to use on a regular basis. So congratulations, Jody Mayfield. Nice. And I want to do these more often because I actually enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I really enjoy working one-on-one with people. I like working inside of their stuff and thinking outside the box and optimizing things and getting a vision and helping you with that. So it'd be a lot more fun if we could do some more of these little giveaways in the future. It may not necessarily always be of an hour of a consultation call. It may be some other things that are developed along the way. One thing could be a keyword mastery guide that I am working on, or possibly a spreadsheet of keywords for you that are taken directly off of Pinterest, and offer those for sale if it's something that's going to save you time, where you don't have to sit and do the research constantly, and it could be up to you on a regular basis. It would be up for purchase, but then also it could be as a giveaway prize that people could love. Yes, awesome. So glad to hear, Jill, that this is helping. I hope so, because that is ultimately the goal, is that this is helping you. So that's it for today. I don't want to take up any more of your time. And thank you for being here, for spending time. Thank you for being inside of the group, Pin Traffic Power. If you're not in there, join the public group, Pin Traffic Power. If you're needing some more help with the do-it-yourself of Pinterest, definitely join us in the course, the Pinterest for e-commerce course. I'm going to be doing a little bit of updating and redoing this summer. So get in now, and you will just be automatically grandfathered right in to a lot of the new stuff that's in development happening right now. And there's going to be even more down the line here as I keep hearing feedback from people of what they absolutely need help with and love and enjoy. Thanks, Carlos, for being here. Awesome. Glad to help you and be of service. That's what this is all about. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. And Linda, thanks for being here. No problem. You can always watch it later. That's, you know, it'll take time for it to process. Give it a few minutes. You can always come back to it. So if you can't be here live, no big deal. No big deal. No problem. Come back later. Watch the old ones. There's a lot of old ones too. So take advantage of that. I've shared a ton of stuff for free, guys. A ton of stuff that will help you get moving in a better direction here. So thanks so much. And I will talk to you again soon. All right. Bye.